What up, what up, what up? This Ibn Web Karana, some here, official thing I got going down here. I'm pausing because I think about my era, my time, as far as when we talking about playing sports here. This gentleman I got coming on, easily one of the most decorated players, people during my time here. To get him is just a blessing. He was cool about everything, was just like, you know what? I'm gonna give you this exclusive. We're gonna do this. I was like, that's what's up here, man. Rodrick Rhodes, for those in the know, basketball extraordinaire, but great man beyond the basketball and everything else here, man. So we're just gonna chop it up a minute. I ain't gonna get in and talk you to death about this, man. We're just gonna get into Rod and we're just gonna see what it do. Hold tight. Cool, cool. Peace, Rod. You can hear me?
Peace, peace.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank you enough, man. I appreciate this solid, man. I know, taking time out of your busy life or what have you, just to be with me, man. And like I said, I appreciate the moments that you're giving me, man. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you for that.
I appreciate that, man. No problem. No problem.
How you doing, family? Everybody good, man? I know being in a crazy world, crazy times, everything, man. You good?
Yeah, everything's good. Can't complain, man. And even if I complain, don't nobody want to hear it, right? Because we all
do it. Nah, I hear you, man. So I'm glad you're good and family up and running. Everybody's holding it down here.
Everything is solid. Talk to me.
Nah, we'll do, man. Like I know, obviously we had opportunity to talk behind the scenes. What have you with all of this here? So, like I said, just something I wound up doing, man. And like I said, it ungrew some legs, and I'm just having a blast, man. And to have you on, I know I hate to say it, man. We ventured into that old head territory. You know what I mean? So being 92 guys here with everything else here, man. So, like I said, just having an opportunity to talk to folks during my era, even past me or even before me, man. Like it's been great just to have opportunity to do this. So to have you here, man, we could rock.
Hey, man, let me tell you, I don't even know if I should be talking to you. Like you said, we talked behind the scenes, and you told me you wanted to take me out when we played against y'all in high school. So I don't even know if I should really be talking to you.
I know, man. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I know, man. I had a good chuckle about that. I was telling my lady about that. I just like, I was like, you won't believe. I mean, first I explained who you were and everything else here, but I just like, yeah, I tried to take him out. I like threatening to take him out. I'm like, I'm a bridge him or something here, man. So I appreciate you willing to overlook that. I'm willing to appreciate you willing to overlook that here, man. With that said, man, just with everything, man, like born in Jersey City?
Born and raised in Jersey City. Mom and dad, my parents originally from Alabama, Dothan, Alabama. Pops moved to Detroit, moved up to Jersey City. They kind of reconnected back in Jersey. My father and my mom made her way to Jersey City, and my dad was in Newark. One thing led to another. They had me, and I've been kind of going back and forth between Jersey City and Newark. Most of my from about 8 to about all the way up to I was like, in my late 20s and stuff.
How many siblings you have?
Well, it's a bunch of us.
When you start laughing, I was like, all right.
It's a bunch of us. On my mother's side, it's 6, and then on my dad, he didn't have any kids with the woman he was dealing with in Newark, but I think she had about 6 kids as well. So combined, it's 12 of us all combined.
Okay, man. How's your childhood like? I know everybody's normal was different, man, but how was yours just growing up?
Like every other person that grew up in the hood, I seen a lot, saw more than I probably should have saw.
Mm-hmm.
I used basketball as a way to get out of the hood. And, I saw, I seen my share of things, man. I really have. I saw my share of things. And it's kind of shaped me to the person I am today. I'm real reserved, very quiet. And I think, just my childhood shaped me to the man I am today. So, some would say it's a good thing and some would say it's a bad thing, but it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. Was you so you wasn't born with a basketball in your hand, I take it.
No, I'll tell you, the way I started playing basketball, I had a nephew who, and that's probably going to sound strange, a nephew. My mom's had me when she was a lot older. So my sister had a son, and my mom's had me. Obviously, he was born before me, but I'm still his uncle, even though he's older than me. So, you
Nah,
know.
when you talk about family from down south, everything, we know how this works, man.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right. So,
we know how this works.
yeah, so I had a nephew who was playing basketball, and he was really, really talented player. His name was Richard Hall. Went to they called him Gus. Went to Ferris High School. I think he got a bunch of records at Ramapo College, and I kind of like watched him, and I was like at awe of him and going, damn, like this dude is really good. And he was the one that kind of like sparked that whole basketball in me.
Okay. But how old were you? I mean, like you were just young, like.
Yeah, I was a young boy. I'm thinking, I don't know, like 6, 7. I just remember him being a little older than me, but he was getting a lot of respect. As obviously that sparked it when I was young, but then obviously as we grew older, he went to high school, and I was getting up there in age, and he was doing really good at Ferris High School in Jersey City, and I just always looked up to him. And then my cousin, not by family, but
we
just
all got a lot of play cousins, so it's all good, man.
yeah, my brother by the name of Mike Thomas went to St. Anthony's. Between him and Richard Hall, like I kind of looked up to them, and I was like, damn, if they could do it, maybe I could be pretty good at it. So that was the spark in me wanting to play basketball.
Now it's just playing around the way initially, just like playgrounds with your boys, everything else that kind of just jumped it off.
Yeah, playground. And then I got to touch on this too, because this is the other thing. Dr. J played a part. Now I'm about to date myself. I don't know if you remember the movie The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
All right, so I remember Dr. J in that movie, and he was so smooth. He was running around here, and he was doing this 1-2, and I was like, damn. Like between my nephew, my cousin Mike, and Dr. J and the Fish That Saved Pittsburgh, I was like, yo, I want to hoop. That's what I want to do. Like, and from that point on, seriously, that movie and them two dudes, I literally said, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
And it sounded like from there you locked in, even at as a youngin.
Yeah, I locked in, and I just watched people. I always was a watcher. And even to today, I don't say a lot, but I watch a lot. And I just would I would just steal people's styles and stuff. I would watch guys play who I admire, and I would go, damn, I like the way he do this. I like the way he do this. I like the way he do this. And I wouldn't say a lot, but I would watch. I would constantly be watching. And that's how I kind of developed into the player I was.
Nah, it's crazy you say that, man. And then you was blessed to start obviously stretching out a little bit too. So that helped.
Absolutely. Yeah, that definitely, no question about it. That definitely helped me quite a bit. From my 8th grade year to my freshman year, I went from about 6'2" to about 6'4", 6'5", and that was the big growth I had. And I don't know, I guess I'm like 6'6", 6'7", but between my 8th grade and my freshman year in high school, I had a big growth spurt.
You remember the first little like organized ball team you played for?
First, yeah, CYO. Everybody started off at CYO. But so you familiar with it?
Yes.
Yeah, I started off at CYO, and two of my teammates was Terry DeHare, who some if they basketball fans they would know, and another one of my teammates was Jermaine Rivers. God bless his soul. That was Dave Rivers' younger brother. Who went to Notre Dame, had some success at Notre Dame, then went on an NBA and had a unbelievable career in Greece. But Jermaine Rivers and Terry DeHare was like my CYO teammates. And they were two guys that I always was chasing and, was trying to be better than.
Now, even with the CYO and everything else, I mean, again, at such a young age, man, I think about it. I mean, just some of the stuff that you dealt with back then, I can only imagine now with all this stuff going on. But even back then, like people tugging at you, you sixth, seventh, eighth grade here, man, just they start tugging at you as far as people you don't know. You start to meet people like, hey, why is he speaking to me and this and that. Like, was St. Anthony a no-brainer as far as high school, or as far as to go? Where you want to go
No,
somewhere else?
no, no. Believe it or not, St. Anthony's was not a no-brainer. Most people would think that, but I grew up in Montgomery Projects in
Mm-hmm.
Jersey City,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when my mom's was alive. That's where we stayed at. We stayed in Montgomery Projects, but then when my mom's passed away, I moved up on the hill in Jersey City. But Montgomery Projects was right down the street from Ferris High School. Literally, it was a rock throw away from Montgomery Projects.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody from like Montgomery Projects, Booker T, and Lafayette Projects, they all went to Ferris High School. That was like the people I was around. Those was my friends. And back then, like St. Anthony's was up and coming,
Mm-hmm.
but Ferris High School and St. Anthony's was rival.
Yes.
And every year, like, I don't care how talented St. Anthony's was, Ferris would always beat them. And it was just the mentality. Like it was it was a bunch of projects kids, and they didn't care about Mr. Hurley or St. Anthony's. They was like, yo, we know these dudes, we play with these dudes around the hood, and they not better than us regardless of who they coach is. So that was like their mentality. When I say they, meaning Ferris High School. And like I told you, my nephew went to Ferris High School. So,
right.
And my brother went to Ferris High School, who played a big part in my life. So between my brother and my nephew, like I was like, I'm going to Ferris. But my brother was like, he was like at Ferris, and he kind of saw how things were done at Ferris. And my brother was like, nah, bro, like that ain't the move. Like, Ferris, yeah, I know they upset St. Anthony's once or twice a year, but in terms of the big picture, St. Anthony's is the better look. So my brother had the vision. If it was up to me, I would have been at Ferris High School. But my brother was older; he had the vision. He kind of saw the whole picture, and my brother was like, "Nah, we gonna make this move to St. Anthony's." So that's how I wound up at St. Anthony's.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because I mean, God bless, man. I know your mom's passed, and it was your sister and your brother pretty much holding you down around that time, correct?
Yeah, super fact. Yeah, my mom's passed when I was like 7 or 8. My dad was always around, he's a good man, but like my sister played a big part in my growth and development, and my older not my older brother, my middle brother, because my older brother was around too, but my middle brother, who was about 7 years older than me, he was like a big influence on everything I did and how I moved and stuff. So yeah, between my sister and my brother, they played a huge part in my development as a young man to a man. So yeah.
Nah, no doubt, man. And then you get to St. Anthony, man. You there, 89, what have you, man. Like you got this team. You starting right from the gate on this historical team, man. Like as far as this 89 run that you guys made, man, like were you wide-eyed and like kind of like what's going on, or you kind of came in there like beyond your years, like, all right, I'm gonna do this?
Both, right? Two things can be right. I wasn't supposed to start on that team. We had a brother by the name of Sean Rooney, white dude, about 6'7", could shoot it. He was supposed to start. Something happened where Sean Rooney broke his hand. I don't know how he did it, but he somehow broke his hand. It wasn't in practice. He came to practice one day and his hand was all wrapped up. And I don't know, what happened, but it kind of altered my life in a good way, unfortunately. And God bless Sean Rooney too. And I'm gonna give you some real insight information, right? I'm gonna give you some for your viewers. I'm gonna tell you who Sean Rooney is. If any of your viewers ever watched Howard Stern, there was a character by the name of Beetlejuice.
Right. I'm who you talking about.
All right, so I'm gonna give you some real stories. So Beetlejuice manager was Sean Rooney, big white boy. So if you go back to any of those episodes, you watch Howard Stern, and you see Beetlejuice, Sean Rooney was the white boy who was his manager.
Okay.
So Sean Rooney was the fifth starter on that team at St. Anthony's. He broke his hand, and then by default, I kind of got the starting spot. And as I say, the rest is history.
Now you there with Bobby, Jerry, and Terry, man. Like this again, you just obviously you just playing your role at that point.
Yeah, I was a good soldier. I played my role. I was hungry. I was very ambitious. But they was the dudes, and I knew that. So I just played my position. But I was always hungry. I was always wanting more. But I was a good soldier.
And it's crazy. You think about 14, 15 years old. Now you traveling the country at this time. I mean, you get beyond your block, like just getting to see United States a little bit, just based off of basketball. Granted, you probably did it years before, whether it was youth games, whether it was AAU or whatever the case is, man. Like how was all this, man? Again, you still develop. Looking back, you still developing, like the brain, everything, man. Just a teenager, man. Like how's all this? Even when you come back to the crib and you got to walk home, like how was it for you?
You know what? I was in the moment.
Okay.
I wanted to prove to those guys I belong. I wanted to prove to St. Anthony's I belong. I wanted to prove to the older guys I belong. I wanted to prove to my brother, which I told you was a big influence. I wanted to prove to him I belong.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I was just carrying on tradition at St. Anthony's. Even though I was a young boy, I was just carrying tradition. Like this is the way things was done.
Mm-hmm.
At St. Anthony's, we did things a certain way. There was a brotherhood. The bar was set high.
Right.
And I kind of just watched, Terry DeHare, Jerry Walker, Bobby Hurley. I watched how they went about their business. So like I told you earlier, like I was a thief. Mm-hmm. I was a thief in terms of like, if I saw something that I thought would help my game, I was going to incorporate it in my game. So I watched, Terry and his shooting. So I wanted to become a good shooter. I watched Jerry and his mentality to never back down and be a tough guy. And I would incorporate that in my game. I watched Bobby, how he, like unbelievable energy, never got tired, phenomenal shape, ran the floor. So I would try to be on my Mr. Miyagi stuff and try to incorporate all these great players into my game and see what would come out of it.
What was a typical day as far as during basketball season for you guys? Whether it was bright and early, just getting up. I mean, I don't know if y'all practicing right before school. Like, folks don't know, man. Like, what was like your typical day, man, as far as over there?
It was. Sometimes we would have practice. Mr. Hurley was a probation officer, so it would be days where he couldn't get off of work at a reasonable time for us to have practice. So he might be like, "Hey, be at the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning." And we would practice from 6 to 7:30 and then go to school. Then there'd be times when we would practice, at average time when kids get out of school, 3:30. We practice from 4 to 5 or 5 to 7. Mm-hmm. So it would really determine on when Mr. Hurley's schedule would allow us to practice. So, but it was like, we was like any other high school school or team. Mr. Hurley was very demanding. He's very demanding. Mm-hmm. We knew as a group, we knew what we were getting into. And we respected it. And we knew going to St. Anthony's, there was a certain expectation that came with that. So if you wasn't serious about the game, that wasn't the place for you. And a lot of people went there, and me and you, we talked, like you said, off the record. You got the Chris Jordans, you got the Luther Wrights.
Yeah.
It's a man. I can name a bunch of kids who went to St. Anthony's who you'd be like, damn, they went to St. Anthony's. Yeah, they went to St. Anthony's, and it didn't pan out because there's a certain discipline that comes with being at St. Anthony's.
Yeah, because that with the study halls and having to do well in school.
Yes.
Yeah, because you figure, I mean, me being at a small school too, I'm aware as far as like the littlest thing is magnified. So like you couldn't really slip up like an inch. I mean,
Yeah.
because it would get back to Coach Hurley in the blink of an eye before you even make it to practice. He knew what time it was.
And let me tell you what made St. Anthony St. Anthony's. The coaches didn't police us. We policed ourselves. And I'll explain that to you, right? If I got in trouble, that was going to bring heat to the whole team. So, if I get in trouble in school and I bring heat to the team, guess what's going to happen at practice?
Yeah.
We all run it for me. So we policed ourselves. Like if I was doing something, you know, or Jerry Walker or Terry DeHare might be like, or Bobby, yo, Rod, what are you doing, bro? Don't do that. Like, come on, man. We all gonna get in trouble for that. So that was the beautiful thing about Sanders. We didn't need the coaches to police us. We policed ourselves because we knew if one got in trouble, we all got in trouble.
Yeah, nah, I mean, that's kind of how it should be, man. Because again, you don't want, pardon my language, shit getting back over to the coaches, man. Police amongst each other, man, and hold each other down, and not only down but accountable.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let me ask, even during that time, man, like I said, I know people tugging on you, like you got your teammates, but outside of your teammates, man, but like who are you trusting? Because again, I know folks are starting to get in your ears, starting to chirp. Like how did that work for you, man? Because again, I know it probably was a crazy time just for folks, again, in your ear, like they could do this or do that. It was starting to just build up in regards to that.
I would say I relied on my brother quite a bit.
Okay.
My brother Reg, I relied on him quite a bit. And then you know, man, I don't have to tell you. You know, I grew up like any Los Angeles, Chicago, Jersey City, Newark, Orange, East Side. You know, you always got that, dudes around you that make sure you good and make sure you protected, and and everybody knew, don't, in a respectful way, don't touch him. You know what I'm saying? He's doing the right thing.
Right.
So I always had that element around me. But for the most part, it was my brother.
Nah, and family, man. That's what family for when it's all said and done, man. And I know, obviously these guys wound up leaving. It starts becoming more your show here. So, with your game, did you just start off like outside of the games, actually, man? Like in practice, were you working on your game, like on your own? Like, how would you just continue to just work on your game and get better here?
Nah, Mr. Hurley. That was the genius of Mr. Hurley, right? People, the great Mr. Hurley. That was the genius of him. We really didn't have a lot of time off. Like when other high schools would once the season was done, they was done. We were like the season was just starting when the season was over with for us.
Yeah.
And that's how we kind of separated ourselves from everybody else in the state of New Jersey, and actually from the country. And I watch documentaries of Kobe Bryant, God bless his soul. I watched him talk about how he separated himself. He never stopped working.
Yeah. Like
when guys would be asleep, he'd be working. And that was St. Anthony's. And I can't take that credit. I wasn't that disciplined as a young 14, 15-year-old kid. That was Mr. Hurley who instilled that in us. And we just never stopped working. So when you were probably relaxed and hanging out with your girlfriend, we had open gym at White Eagle Hall. We were lifting weights in the summertime when guys were probably hanging out. So then once the season started, we kind of, we were ahead of everybody because we never stopped working.
And then even in off season and including the spring summer hit, you did the AAU circuit too. Was it just the Road Runners, or did you play for anybody else?
I played for the Road Runners and the Lehman Demons. I don't know. They kind of fizzled out, but the Lehman, I played for the most part. I played for the Lehman Demons, and there was a Jewish guy in Central Jersey, and I can't forget the brother. I can't remember his name, but I should know this man's name. Good dude. But anyway, he was like, he wanted to commit suicide, but he was the guy we played for. I think something happened between Mr. Hurley and Sandy, and I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was something with Danny. Like he wanted Danny to start, but I think it was some kids from like Elizabeth or somewhere out there that like was that Sandy wanted to start above Danny, and Mr. Hurley wasn't having no parts of it. So we wound up leaving the Roadrunners because all the Sandys players, every Sandys players always played for the Roadrunners, and I wound up playing for the Roadrunners for maybe a year or two. But then it was a fallout with Danny not starting, and I don't know which player it was. I don't know if it was Alan Watson or I don't know, or somebody from Elizabeth. I can't remember, but Mr. Hurley was upset about Danny not starting, so we wound up playing with the Lehman Demons. And they're not even in existence anymore.
Right. Right. And now, as far as even playing, whether it's AAU or just in general, man, like these teams you playing, like the Dunbars, the Mathis, man, just how was it for you? Just again, obviously you mentioned Elizabeth, you mentioned obviously you got folks here in New Jersey, but even across state borders, man, you out west, you everywhere, man. Just how was it for you just playing against all this competition?
Oh, it was awesome. It was great. You get you want to play against the best. Like if you're the best, like show me you the best. Like, right? That's what it's about. That's sports. That's competition. So I know for me, and I think I can speak for St. Anthony's, we always wanted to play the best. Like if you say you're the best, all right, show me you the best. We'll play you any place, anywhere, anytime. Like, let's see if you're the best. So DeMatha, Dunbar, Dunbar, DC, Dunbar, Baltimore, those was like, Dunbar, Baltimore was, for me, in my era, those were legendary games. Those were teams that we had great respect for. Dante Bright, who was
like Michael Lloyd. Was it Lloyd?
Okay. Okay, I see you.
Man, I ain't messing with you, man. Come on.
I see that. So yeah, Michael Lloyd, who went to Syracuse, Dante Bright, who went to UMass. What's the brother who was the first round draft pick for them? Keith Booth, who went to Maryland.
Right.
Those was like, those was legendary games. Those was, like I remember coming out of those games feeling like I just played football, which you can relate to because I know you're a former football player. But I just remember how physical those games were. So, for me, when we talk about rivalries, I just remember Baltimore, Dunbar, and also for me, Elizabeth was another team.
I was about to mention them,
I had a great deal. I had respect for all my opponents, but I'm just talking about like the physicality. I just remember Baltimore, Dunbar, and Elizabeth. The physicality of those games was different.
And even playing those games, and as your stock is just going up, whether it's during the season, obviously AAU camps, all this stuff here, man. Like, are you getting a big head, man? Are you? I mean, I know you got Coach Hurley, you got those before you that went through it. I mean, but still in all, you still your own individual here, man. How was it?
Nah, like Mr. Hurley wouldn't allow that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was always about the work, right? It was always about the work. And we was chasing ghosts. And when I say we was chasing ghosts, like we always wanted to be better than, the tradition of whatever was set in front of us at St. Anthony's, right? So, like, if there was a team that went 32-0, we wanted to go 33-0. If there was a guy who was 24th pick, we wanted to be the 7th pick in it. So we was like, if he was the all-time leading scorer in the Big East and scoring, like we was always chasing that guy. So there was no time for complacency at St. Anthony's because and then there was always somebody behind you chasing you, and you had to be that guy setting that bar. So Mr. Early did a great job in setting tradition at St. Anthony's. So there was no time for complacency.
So you get the colleges obviously pretty much picking a litter, pretty much what you want to hear, man. Obviously, you end up at Kentucky. Was that your first and only choice, or was it somebody else that you was going?
No. Now Seton Hall fans, and my sister will probably kill me if I say this. They got my sister to blame for me not going to Seton Hall. They have my sister who raised me to blame. Jerry Walker, who was a teammate of mine, and Terry DeHare, who was a teammate of mine, was at Seton Hall. Now, the crazy thing is his was crazy. I wanted to either go to Duke or North Carolina.
Okay.
North Carolina never recruited me. They had Brian Reese from New York. Duke never recruited me. I guess I wasn't a good enough student to get into Duke, so Duke never recruited me. And they had Grant Hill. So those two schools were my two schools I always wanted to go to. And then my third school was Syracuse. I absolutely was in awe of the Carrier Dome. Just watching it on TV, the Carrier Dome. So after I realized, North Carolina is not realistic, Duke is not realistic, I want to go to the Carrier Dome. I want to play in Syracuse, right? But after Jerry Walker and Terry DeHare went to Seton Hall, obviously they was always in my ear. They would come back. We would always play open gym together. They would always come back and play with the high school kids. And they was like, yo, you're going to like it up here. It's a small, little, quiet school.
Right.
Yo, if you come here, you're the missing piece. We can get it done. They'll put us over the top. We won the national championship. And they was always kicking that.
And they were because they were fresh off a couple of years ago, that Final Four run.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. So I think it was Terry's freshman year was the year before they went to the Final Four and in the championship game, and I was 3 years behind Terry. So, it like you said, it was fresh. Everything was fresh. It was new, and the Seton Hall was up and coming. So they was drilling in me, yo, come to the hall, come to the hall. I would always be up there on unofficial visits, seeing Terry, seeing Jerry. So I was always up there watching games. So in my mind, I had told myself, all right, I'm going to go to the hall, because my guys is up here. So my sister was like, I went to that Midnight Madness. I committed verbally.
You did? Okay.
True story. A lot of people don't, you're getting some stuff that a lot of people don't know. So I had committed to Seton Hall verbally. I came home and I told my sister, I'm going to Seton Hall, and I verbally committed. She said, no, you're not. She was like, no, you're not. She was like, who told you you're doing that? She was like, you're going to take all your visits. You talked to all these coaches. They came up here because they had all came to the house and, gave they spill on why their universities and their programs would be the best for me. So she's like, no, you're not going to just go to Seton Hall and just commit to them. So I told the Seton Hall side, I was like, listen, my sister's making me take all these visits. And they knew the schools that were recruiting me. And they knew, and looking back, what Seton Hall offered and what some of these other universities offered, and they knew they couldn't compare. So they did everything in their power to stop me and to talk to my sister for me taking those visits. But, my sister was just being honorable and saying, listen, you had all these coaches coming to this house, talk to us. You need to, take your visits. So that's what I wound up doing. And I went to Kentucky, and I fell in love with Kentucky.
Before you even get to Kentucky, the whole recruiting process, you mentioned that, man. Think about it. Back then, man, we ain't had no call ID. We ain't had nothing. You picking up the phone, you don't know who would. How crazy of a time was that for you, your sister, and everybody? Just the phone ringing, you got folks coming through. Was it just did it become too much?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it was. It was crazy. And like you said, the phone was constantly ringing. I might have John Thompson on the phone, Bobby Knight, Gary Williams from Maryland, Lute Olson from Arizona, PJ Carlissimo, Rick Pitino. Who else was real? It was a bunch of schools where that called, and I was like, nah, I'm not interested. So I can't even remember those schools. But then Calipari recruited me from UMass. So
UMass, sure.
Yeah. So yeah. To answer your question, yeah, it was crazy. And some schools, you know, between my brother and my sister, we get together and be like, are you interested in this school? And if there was no interest, we was just like, listen, we appreciate it, but he's not interested. And here's what people don't know about college coaching. The best thing the best thing of college coaching here is, yeah, like, we're interested. And the second best thing he can hear is, we're not interested. Because that way that guy can move on and start recruiting the next guy.
Right.
So, you know, we gave them that opportunity. And if we were interested, we told them. If we wasn't, we was like, yeah, we're not interested in going to whatever university you may be recruiting from.
Now, for you, was it just a feel that you had to get from a coach? I mean, outside of the visits on the campus and everything, was it like a certain like gut feeling, like, all right, this is the spot for me, or you had folks like, I mean, again, you could smell BS here and there, you know what I mean? But like, was it just like a gut feeling, like, all right, this the spot for me?
Some was connections, some was, I was like, you know, just growing up, I was always a fan. Like Syracuse, I had no connections to Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
I was just a fan of the Orangemen, you know, Pearl Washington, Billy Owens, Derrick Cohen. I was just a fan. Mm-hmm. Stevie Thompson, the Carrier Dome. So, and that's a lot. I actually went to Syracuse as a kid. I went to their basketball camp, and we played the youth games in Syracuse. When I was playing in the youth games, we played up in Syracuse. That's where it was held at. So I had a chance to see Syracuse. So that was my infatuation with Syracuse. Seton Hall, obviously. I had my boys who went to high school at Seton Hall. Arizona, I was a big Sean Elliott fan. Like, I was like, that's when like the big guard became like sexy. Like, you know, Steve Smith, Penny Hardaway, Sean Elliott, where, you know, a guy was 6'7", 6'6", 6'8", he was playing the point. So I was a big fan of Sean Elliott. So that was my thing with Arizona. Maryland, I had a buddy of mine who, Dwayne Simpkins, who I played like AAU basketball with and who we became really close with. He went to Maryland. So
Maryland, right, yeah.
Yeah, so that was my thing with Maryland. Georgetown, just, you know, John Thompson recruited me. I just, you know, black man, Hoya, you know, just kind of dug that. Who else was out there that, Indiana, Bob Knight, you know, just reminded me a lot of Coach Hurley. And I know I had great success with Mr. Hurley and how he pushed me. So I thought Indiana might be a good look. And yeah, those was like all my schools that I kind of really, really took serious. Georgetown, Indiana, Syracuse, Seton Hall, Kentucky. Yeah.
Even before you obviously get over to down to Lexington, here, you got a game to play. McDonald's All-American game, man. Like, I'm sure that was on probably your to-do list as things started to build up as far as goals here. So you get there. What's that? Is it a weekend or a few days? What was that like?
Yeah, it was like, I think it was like 2 or 3 days. Yeah, it was a weekend thing.
Okay.
You know, we did community service stuff. We practiced. You know, you kind of develop relationships with these guys you've been competing with all through AAU, and, you know, especially like the East Coast guys, because, like, you know, I was competing against Othello Harrington, and even though he's in the South, but he was considered East, you know, in terms of West, Mississippi of the West. So, you know, Othello Harrington, who's from Mississippi, Dante Bright, who was from Baltimore, a number of other guys. Yeah, you kind of playing with these guys, and, you know, like anything, you tell yourself like, damn, I'm amongst some of the best in the country, and it's a good feeling. And like anything, you try to get a feel for where your talent stands amongst the other great players that are in high school basketball.
Because if I'm correct, you and Jay Kidd were kind of yo-yoing between like 1 and 2 as far as best player, as far as in that class, probably for the last couple of years back then, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and that was so the other connection to Arizona was Jason Kidd, Arizona and Kentucky. So me and Jason developed a really, really tight relationship. And we said we told each other we were going to go to the same school. So it was either, and oh my God, I forget, Ohio State was another school. Randy.
Really? Randy, okay.
Yeah, Randy.
Yeah.
I took a visit to Ohio State. So I'm sorry about that. Ohio State was another school I took a visit to and I visit. Randy is black man. I just had a ton of respect for him. And he had Jimmy Jackson there. Like, yeah.
And you had the Jersey Connect too. What was it? Chris Gent, I think, was out there too at that time.
Absolutely. There you go. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and he was, selling the whole big guard, watch how, I let my guards go. And he's Jimmy Jackson's a big guard, you're a big guard. So we had that. So to go back to Jason, Ohio State, Arizona, and Kentucky were the schools that we were all considering going to, because me and Jason said we were going to go to the same school. And he wanted to go into Cal Berkeley.
Yeah, he stayed at the crib. Yeah, he stayed at the crib. Mm-hmm. Now you get down to Lexington, man, like they fresh off of Final Four. Like you walk in there again. By this time, I'm sure the bright lights aren't intimidating at all because, obviously what you've done in high school and where you've been at. But just, you still 17, 18 years old, man. It's a transition. I don't care who you are, man. Just as far as you leaving Jersey City, you going down to Lexington, your sister and your brother, I'm going to take a guess, aren't with you. So how's that whole transition for you, man? Just trying, a young man, just being on your own, so to speak.
Yeah, it was intimidating, but in the same breath, I kind of was groomed for that situation.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Just being a young kid, my freshman year at Annie's, winning national championship, and then having a lot of notoriety throughout the state of New Jersey and the country. Everywhere I went in AAU basketball or a high school gym, people always were like, yo, we want to see if this dude really what they saying he is. So I had that on my back and that target on my chest, whatever gym I stepped in, that, yo, let's see if this dude is really what he say he is. And I never wanted to disappoint. So, I knew people was coming for me, and I knew, all right, let me show them, whatever they might have heard, I'm whatever they think they might have heard of me. So to answer your question in terms of like moving forward to Kentucky, it was definitely a transition, definitely intimidating, but definitely something I was equipped for.
And even with that being said, right out the gate, man, you get it popping, man. Like you got the preseason NIT, like you playing. I mean, MVP, correct?
Yeah. You did your homework, huh?
Nah, tad bit. Homework and stuff. I just remember. I'm just you're Jersey man. Of course, I'm remember some things.
Yeah. Actually, you're right. We came to the NIT. I think St. John's was in it. Us, maybe Rutgers. Okay. And I can't remember the other team, and I apologize for that. But I wound up winning the MVP as a freshman of the NIT tournament, preseason NIT tournament, and I won MVP. And I'm at the crib. I wanted to show out. I knew I had family, friends there, and old teammates, and I wanted to compete. I wanted to hoop, and I wanted to make my family proud. So I just I went out there and just did my thing.
Not just playing ball there, as far as like how did you deal with those rough patches, as far as, again, you have a game or two where you're not being ride here, man. Like how did you just pedal through that?
Well, it was tough. My brother did wind up moving down there, and my brother was like a big support. And you're right. And then it wasn't always everything wasn't good down there for me. And my brother was the person that always uplifted me. Yo, it's gonna be all right. Yo, just keep working. Let's get in the gym. Basically, like, shit happens, man. Like get over it. Like, let's keep working. So my brother played a huge part in pushing me through when things wasn't always going well at Kentucky.
Now you got folks coming and leaving again. Obviously, Patino's building Kentucky up, man. And as far as, and again, I know you get to a point here, like your junior year with this whole red shirt thing is. I mean, like, what time is it? What time is it with all this, man? We're really happy with all this stuff.
Yeah, well, and we talked about this off the record, we can talk about it because I don't have a problem talking about it. So the fallout, if you want to call it that, or when I decided to transfer from Kentucky to the University of Southern California was my junior year. We had just lost to North Carolina in the Sweet 16.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always like kind of like exit meetings. Like every coach has like exit meetings. So, you know, my exit meeting with Coach Pitino was like, what? Well, hold on. Let me rewind. That my junior year was the year you're able to come out and test the waters for the NBA. As long as you don't have an agent,
right,
you can come back to school. My junior year was the first year they did that. As long as you don't have an agent, you can test the waters, kind of see where you're at, go to all the pre-draft camps, and again, pretty much test the waters and see if you can help your stock or whatever. So I told Coach Pitino in my exit meeting, like, hey, Coach, like I want to test the waters. I want to see where I'm at. I want to see if, you know, if I can get drafted in the first round. So I like to go to all the pre-draft camps and compete and see if I, you know, raise my stock. And he, in fairness to Coach Pitino, he's very clear to me. He said, Rod, you could do that, but if you do that, I'm going to recruit as if you're not here.
Okay.
So he said, you know, we're recruiting a bunch of players, Ron Mercer being one of the players. Ron Mercer was like a top 5 player in the country who played my position. He was like, you know, if you decide to enter your name into the draft, I'm going to recruit and tell guys like Rodrick Rhodes is not going to be here. He's putting his name in the draft and he won't be here. So I said, Coach, I understand that. You have to do what you have to do and I have to do what I have to do. Fast forward, went to the pre-draft camp. They was telling me late first round, second round. So I was like, nah, I didn't go to the camp for that. So I was hoping to, you know, raise my stock higher in the first round. So when I heard what they was telling me, I went back to Coach and I was like, hey, Coach, like I like to come back to school. He was like, Rod, you can come back, but you're not going to start. And I was like, why not? He's like, because I told you, like I promised Ron Mercer, and at this time Ron Mercer had committed to the University of Kentucky. He said, I promised Ron Mercer that he would start. And I just thought that was strange because everything I had knew about this man was it's always about competing. Everything we do, whether we run suicides, doing shooting drills, lifting weights, it was everything he made about competition. So I'm like, Coach, so you telling me I can't even compete for the starting spot after I started 3 years? You telling me I can't even compete? He's like, no, you got to come off the bench. So I knew right away that that didn't sit right with me. And then obviously I brought it to my sister and my brother and spoke to my dad a little bit about it. And they just was like, yeah, this guy is obviously doesn't have your best interests at hand. And, you know, he has a different agenda. So they was like, look, you can stay there, come off the bench and be a part of a national championship team, which I knew it was no doubt in my mind we were going to win the national championship, which we did. And we wound up playing in the Meadowlands that year. And I knew we had our whole team coming back. We had our whole team. I don't think there was one person that left that team. We had the whole team coming back. It was like if we didn't win the national championship in '96, it would have been a disappointment. And I think that team that won the national championship in the Meadowlands, I think they lost 2 games. And I say this humbly, you had a guy who transferred who was a first-round draft pick. So that tells you how good that team was. So that team lost 2 games, won the national championship, and you had a guy who would have been on that team who left, who went to USC, talking about myself, who was a first-round draft pick. So that's how good that team was. They had like Derek Anderson, Ron Mercer, Tony Delk, Walter McCarty, Antoine Walker, Jeff Shepard, Mark Pope. Like that team was loaded. Like so yeah. So that was the story with that. So I wound up going to USC and went to USC, sat out a year, and then I had a pretty decent year my senior year and got
Let me
drafted.
ask real quick about USC. Was there any restrictions about you transfer? Like you couldn't go like the SEC or anything like that? There was stipulations?
Yeah, it was all the restrictions. Like, yeah, I
Right.
couldn't back then it was all the restrictions. Like I couldn't I had to sit out a year. Now these kids can
Right, with that part, right. But as far as the coach tell you anything? Like as far as he's gonna see to it that you didn't play in the SEC or anything else?
No, well, he didn't have to do that because those were the rules in place. Like, if I would have transferred to a school in the SEC, I would have had to sit out 2 years.
Okay.
So yeah, so they kind of deterred people from transferring within the conference, and that wasn't just the SEC. That was every conference back then.
Mm-hmm. So you out there, Pac-10 at this time, like so. What was it about USC that you wanted to just go out there? Was it anybody else?
No, well, I'll tell you about USC story. I had no intentions on going to USC. Anything I knew about USC, I was a big NWA fan, and
yes.
I had listened to the music, and all I heard about gang banging, Bloods and Crips, and I'm East Coast through and through. I'm Nas, Biggie, I'm Big Daddy K. I'm East Coast through and through. So all these dudes was talking about was gang banging and Bloods and Crips. So that's all I had ever knew because I had never, touched ground on their soil. I ain't know nothing about the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So I only knew what I saw through music and television. So a buddy of mine who was Henry Bibby, who wound up being my head coach.
The Jersey ties. I think he was something with Jersey.
No, he's from Philly. He's from Philly.
All right.
He's from Philly, yeah. Henry Bibby from Philly. So what happened was Henry Bibby became an assistant coach, and his nephew, Doug Bibby, was living in Louisville. And him and my brother and a buddy of mine from Newark, dude named B, was buddies, and they went to school in Norfolk. B and Doug Bibby went to school down in Norfolk, Virginia. So my man B from Newark knew Doug Bibby. So Doug was like, yo, like, where's Rod transferring to? And my man B was like, I don't know, but, I'll ask him. I'll try to get in his ear, see what's cracking. And long story short, B was like, yo, my man uncle just got the job at USC.
Okay.
And he wanted to know if you would come out and take a visit. And I'm like, yo, B, I ain't going out west, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to try to find something out here on the East Coast, you know what I'm saying? Go back to the crib and do that. He was like, yo, it's nice out here. And Henry Bibby at this time I called, he was like, yo, it's beautiful. He's like, yo, I'm an East Coast guy myself. He went to UCLA. He was like, bro, trust me, just come out and take a visit. If you don't like it, don't come. But he's like, yo, I'm just begging you to just take the visit. And like I said, at the time, all I knew about the West Coast was gang banging and, and all the wild stuff that came with the West Coast. Because, we talking early 90s or at this point, mid 90s, So I was like, all right, Coach Bibby, I'll come out there and take a visit. And I went out there and I was like, yo, this is sweet.
Yeah.
This is sweet. And I just fell in love with the palm trees, the weather, the chicks.
Mm-hmm.
And and I just was like, yeah, this works for me.
Now your game, as far as with Coach Bibby's system, did it work for you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he let me play the point. He saw that's probably what got me drafted in the first round. Coach Bibby didn't try to make me play small forward. He saw my versatility. He saw my intelligence for the game, my decision making, and he let me play the point. And I think that really helped me and catapult me to being a first round draft pick in the NBA draft.
Right, because again, you're still paying top-notch competition out there, the Arizonas and et cetera, that's out there. So you get that, obviously that 24th pick, if I'm correct, man. Like, remember that where you was at when you got drafted?
Yeah, it was 24th. I was the 24th pick. I wanted to go to the draft. I went through the whole draft process. I had two teams telling me they was gonna draft me in the first round, but I wasn't sure.
Okay.
And like every young kid, I wanted to shake David Stern's hand and and where to put the hat on and be recognized as the first round draft pick. But I was like, yo, I don't want to go there and I don't get drafted. And I'm looking all crazy. So yeah, I had a little spot in LA, and me and my agent, my brother, my man B from North, the girl I was dating with, we all just kind of had a party in my apartment in LA. We watched it, and I got a call from Charles Barkley. Yeah, crazy, man. It was like, the New Jersey Nets, I think, had the 21st pick, and I was like, damn, maybe New Jersey might draft me. And I think they went with Candace Parker, brother. I can't forget the brother's name, light-skinned dude. But it was Candace Parker, brother, I think, who went to the Nets. And he's like the 21st pick or something. And I was thinking, like, maybe the Nets might draft me. Like, oh, they might draft the New Jersey kid, bring him home. And but then the Rockets was like, if you're available at 24, we're going to draft you. And sure enough, like right around the 23rd pick, I get a phone call, and my agent, they called my agent's phone, and everybody started screaming and stuff. Yeah. My agent was like, yo, it's a Houston number, And it was Charles Barkley. And he's like, man, speak to Rodrick. And yeah, I got on the phone with Charles Barkley. He's a guy I looked up to my whole life.
That's right.
Watched, and he was like, yo, man, welcome to the family. He's like, we're about to draft you. And sure enough, David Stearns walks up to the podium, says my name, and it was like time stopped, man. It was like he said in slow motion. He was like, and the Houston Rockets. So like, and that's how I felt in my mind. Rodrick Rhodes, and we just all went nuts in the apartment.
Nah, that's real, man. Let me ask you though, being 24th, just everything you've been through, whatever, did you envision yourself maybe not in this draft, or just at one point even being a lottery pick or what have you here? I mean, just
there was a lot. Yeah, there was some disappointment. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because like I told you, I was chasing those ghosts. Like Terry Bear was, I think Terry was like the 13th pick. Bobby was the 7th pick, and I, at St. Anthony's, it was always do better than the next guy. So yeah, I wanted to be a top 5 pick. Absolutely. Absolutely. So was there some disappointment? Absolutely. Yeah.
But still, you get that first round pick. And that was a good draft for Jersey because Brev went in that draft too, I think. He went first round, I think. Brev Knight. Yeah, Brev was in that 97 draft too.
Yeah. Who was a guy I had a lot of respect for. Brev was tough. Brev was tough.
Yeah. Now you get to Houston, you talking about Charles Barkley, you talking about Hakeem. Was Clyde on this team when you got
there? Yeah, yes. Yeah.
So what's your mindset? Just obviously you get drafted, now the work begins. More work begins, rather. You've been working, but more work begins here. So like you down in Houston the next day or two and getting in that work in, or how did that go?
Yeah, they give you 48 hours. They normally give you 48 hours to get to your draft, whoever drafted you. And I got down there the next day, me and my agent signed the contract. And then they tell you, they might be like, hey, you got a week to, I got to figure out where I'm going to live at. And you have, there's normally somebody they might recommend, or, your agent might know people. So, yeah, you try to figure out where you live, try to figure out where the other players live. And obviously, you want to be in a safe area. So, and you want to be somewhere close to the practice facility, because a lot of the times the practice facilities in a lot of these NBA, it's not where the actual arena is. So the practice facility might be here, but the arena might be in downtown Houston, and the practice facility might be in the suburbs of Houston. So, yeah, you just try to figure out all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Nah, Houston, like you said, you figuring all this out here, like, but as a kid, man, like, this is what you ultimately, irregardless where you went, financially, you sign a contract, man. How does that change just at most your immediate family here, man?
Yeah, it helps out, but man, that ain't really no real money. You know, looking
After
back,
taxes and everything else. Huh?
yeah, it ain't no real money, bro. I
Mhm.
like to tell you, man, I bought this person this, I bought this person that. Like, I was making money, but I wasn't really making no real money. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
After everything broke down, obviously it made my life a little better, but it wasn't about nothing. It really wasn't no real money. It was more money than I had been seen in my life, but it wasn't no real money.
Yeah. But you get September, October, you get to this preseason, man. Like you walk in there, you see these guys, man. Like, is it daunting, or you just like, yo, this basketball? I don't care who you are. This basketball. What we
Nah,
doing?
nah. You. Nah, I like to tell you it's just basketball. Nah, you yeah, you fanning out a little bit. You fanning out. Like, I'm
Yeah.
definitely.
I have my little moments. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm like, oh shit. Like, I'm like, yo, this is like Hakeem Olajuwon, this Clyde
Yeah.
Drexler. Like, you had all these dudes. I grew up watching these dudes. I'm watching Clyde Drexler against Michael Jordan in the finals. I'm watching Hakeem against Patrick Ewing in the finals. Like, I'm like, Charles Barkley winning the MVP in Phoenix. So, nah, you spazzing out. Like, I like to sit up here and talk slick to you and be like, nah, I wouldn't. I did my 1-2. Them niggas just, nah, it wasn't fair. I ain't even gonna talk slick like that.
Yeah.
Nah, I was a fan, man. I was a fan, but you got to get out of it quick because you hooping with these guys and they expecting a certain expectation from you. So, yeah, you gotta. Yeah, I went in there like, yo, like a fan, but you quickly have to adjust.
Remember your first game?
I do. I played against the Knicks.
Ooh, was that home or what?
It was at home. We played against the Knicks on TNT, and I had a big shot. I don't know if it won the game, but it was. I remember it being a huge shot. I don't know if it just. I guess it pretty much like put us over the top. Like it was more game, but it was a huge shot. And I remember taking the shot, and they rotated. And being a rookie, they kind of dared me to shoot, and I wasn't known as like a great shooter, so they kind of dared me to shoot, and I didn't hesitate. I just took the shot and I knocked it down. So yeah.
Now you got that. You got knock it down. That shot you playing. Obviously, you're 30, maybe late 30s, 40 games college. Now you got this 82 run plus the playoffs, man. Like, how was that for you, just physically and mentally, man? How was that for you?
Oh, it was tough. Guys, people don't understand. It's a business. They go, oh, these guys getting all this money. What do they complain about? They on these jets and they live in, they go to these 5-star hotels. Let me tell you something, man. It's a business. It's a business. It's a struggle. Yeah, straight like that. It's a business. It's a business. And you earn that money. You earn that money.
Yeah. And then you got your second year you in. I mean, now does Steve Francis and these guys come in a tow while you're there, or is it after you left?
No, well, Steve Francis, at this time, I think he was a draft or two behind me. At this time, though, when I was I got injured. I had my rookie. I played my rookie year. I got injured the summer of my rookie year. They had drafted Katino Mobley.
I know Cat. We went to prep school together. We went to Main Central. Yep.
It was Katino Mobley. He lived when he first got to Houston. He stayed with me.
Cat stayed with you, okay?
He stayed with me, and then Michael Dickinson. So I think that was the year. Like I said, I got injured. My rookie summer, I got injured going into my second year. I tore my pec muscle in half lifting weights. Those guys played, and I never got a chance to play with Steve Francis. I think Steve Francis got drafted by Vancouver the next year and then got traded to Houston. So I never even got a chance to play with Coutinho or Michael Dickinson because I tore my pec muscle in half, then they wound up trading. Excuse me.
Now you say obviously the whole business that you get injured and it's kind of like damn, correct me if I'm wrong, but literally like next man up. You know what I mean? And they forget about whoever else. Is that accurate or sort of accurate?
That's all the way accurate. That's when you realize when you get traded, all the way up until you're on your first team. It's all a game. You get paid to play a game. But when you gotta get up, move your family, relocate, find a place to live. If you got kids, find a place for your kids to go to school. That's when you realize, oh shit, this is really a business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that the whole family thing. Interesting. You mentioned like just again, you trying to make a living for them, what have you here. But to your point here, you moving from one state to another, schooling, the wife, everything. I mean, everything that comes with that, man. Like, how are you just personally like balancing and all that?
Man, it's tough. And I didn't move. I'm gonna take it a step further. I didn't move from one state to another. I moved from one country to another country. I got traded to the Vancouver Grizzlies.
That's okay. Okay.
Ooh. So I didn't move from state to state. I moved from country to country.
Mm.
So and then it's a business. It's a business, man. It is a business, brother. Mm-hmm. It's a business. It's a business. Straight like that. It's a business.
And then even with the NBA career, you talk about obviously Houston and obviously the whole Vancouver thing here. Like, looking back, man, how you feel as far as the NBA, man? How did they do you, man? I mean, me outside looking in, like, I mean, it was kind of foul, but I could be completely wrong, not knowing the inner workings here, man. But you just getting that short few years here, man. Like, how was that for you?
Yeah, you might hold some bitterness, you definitely hold some of that animosity. But, now that I'm an older man, a lot more mature, understanding business, it was business. It wasn't personal, it was business, I probably could have did a better job of dealing with certain situations. Like even being in Vancouver, I hated Vancouver. I went from like the Houston Rockets to the Vancouver Grizzlies. I went from like a playoff team to like winning like 6 games in the regular season. So it was it was an adjustment, man. And I probably didn't handle it the best being a young 24, 25-year-old kid. Because I didn't quite get the business side of it. I was viewing it as a game, and these people, this was their livelihood. So right. I didn't get that side of it. So, I can take some of the blame and say, yeah, I probably should have handled things differently.
Now, even with that, so you wound up playing overseas. You get to see the world, man. We still got this round basketball, like, took you beyond the Jersey City blocks, regardless NBA or not. You overseas, man. Just that whole experience. I mean, again, do you feel it's a letdown? Or it's like, yo, you know what? I gotta feed my family. I still love playing ball. Like, just where I'm at.
Both. Right? Two things can be right. It was a letdown because I felt like I went from the NBA to playing overseas, so that was the letdown in that. But in the same breath, like you said, I had to feed my family, so I'm like, all right, let me go over there and make the best of it because, they got money over here too.
That's right.
So, I went over there and tried to make a career over there as well. Man, excuse me.
Nah, it's all good, man. Like, even being over there, you start thinking about what I'm gonna do with the rest of my life. Like, once this ball starts bouncing.
Nah, you just I can't speak for myself. You're living in the moment.
Okay.
It's day to day, trying to do your best, and I was just living for the next contract. You're trying to play and do your best.
So even obviously being overseas, I know you're saying you're playing for the next contract or what have you, but ultimately it has to end, or it does end by force or just by father time, whatever the case is, man. Like, you wind up jumping into culture, man. Did Did that always in the back of your mind you was thinking about doing that, or it just fell in your lap?
Um, well, I know for me, it was over. I went from like the NBA to the PBA. The last professional basketball I played was the Philippine Basketball Association. So I said to myself, I was like, damn, here I am, first round draft pick, NBA. And now I'm over here in the Philippines playing basketball. And I just was like, yo, is this is this really what I want to do?
Right.
And I just, like any fighter or gladiator, warrior, whatever you want to call it, you just know, man, it's over with, man. You don't have that fight. You don't have that killer in you. You don't have that monster in you. And, they say athletes die of two deaths, one of their athletic career, and then obviously when the Lord brings you home. So I just knew I just knew it was over, man. I just knew that my basketball career was dead. It was over. And I had to find something else to do. So I had to be honest with myself. I was like, dude, what else do I know what to do? Like, I've been doing this since I've been like 7, 8 years old. Like, I don't have another crap. Like, I don't know nothing else. Like, I don't know nothing. I've never did anything with my life other than basketball. So for me, the transition was like, all right, well, maybe I try to coach. I never thought about it, but I was like, I want to, if I can't play, maybe I can get back.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what it was. I was like, all right, I'll go into coaching. So that's how I got into coaching, and I coached for like 17 years. And up until recently, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah. Nah, interesting, man. And I know sometimes coaching and playing, depending on how that player was as far as where they were at, like it's tough because it's like, I know I'm able to do this, but I gotta instill this and teach these kids or these young adults as far as how to play or what have you. So you can't just jump on the court and do it for them. So, but I also know that's also the pride and joy once you see them make those accomplishments. I mean, you start off, not knowing the play or your whole triple threat positions and everything else, but they start learning it, but that's part of the whole coaching thing.
Absolutely, and that's the reward of it, right?
Yes.
When you used to be a player, now you're coaching. Like exactly what you just said. Like I got off on like watching a kid who couldn't, do up and under, or didn't know what a triple threat was, or didn't understand, the whole mentality of the game, how to approach the game, and how to score points in the game. Because basketball is it's deep. Guys say, I want to score 20 points. You ask how you score, how do you get to 20 points? Like, how do you break down 20 points? Right. And I know I had my system of how I would try to get to 20 points. And I might be like, all right, I try to still, I might say, all right, in this quarter, I'm gonna try to get 4 points. And in this quarter, I'm gonna try to get 4 points. I'm trying to get 4. And then, and then you try to say, hey, if I can hit 1 or 2 threes. So you be like, how do I get to average 20 a game, average 20, 25 a game? And you break the game down like that. And when you break it down like that, they be like, damn, all right, coach, I get it. Like, you're right. That, 25 sounds like a lot of points. 20 sounds like a lot of points. But if you're breaking it down, you're like, yeah, if you can get 4 in this quarter, maybe get 6 in this quarter, then tell yourself, all right, third quarter, I'm going to try to get 4 or 5. And then fourth quarter, I'm going to turn it up because I'm that dude. You're looking at a 25, 30-point game when you break it down like that. So just explaining the game to the guys like that, and them understanding and being like, damn, I never saw the game like that. So, yeah, you definitely get enjoyment out of that.
Nah, most definitely, man. I mean, coaching is another form of teaching, man. So no, absolutely, you get those rewards, and you get those small victories, or ultimately end up to big victories as well too. So with sports, man, what has it given you that sticks with you to this day?
Say it one more time.
No, not a problem. With sports, what has sports given you that sticks with you to this day?
Oh, Easy. That's easy. Perseverance and never just perseverance. Like never quitting. Never um, just always getting up. Always getting up. Like just perseverance. Just like never stopping. Like always keep going. Always keep going. So that's the one thing I got out of sports. Like there's always the next play, right? There's always the next play. There's always the next game. You know, even though you lose or you lose a game, like you're only as good as your last game, right? So just persevering would be the word that keeps coming to my head. Like just always moving forward and never stopping.
Yeah. Now, what I normally do with these joints, I like to just put people on the spot on the back end, just with some random, not so random questions, man. So, you mind if I fire off?
Go ahead.
Cool. When driving, obviously, a Jersey guy, Jersey City in particular here, man. 280 or the Turnpike?
Turnpike.
Great Adventure, Action Park?
Great Adventure.
The club or a block party?
Club.
Snowfall or power?
Oh, power all day.
Okay. Now we know you as a basketball player, man, but like as far as you're just basketball, but there's other parts to you, man. Like when you wasn't playing ball, what other interests you had?
I didn't have a lot of interest. You know, I was just I was hooping. I was with my guys. You know, I messed with one or two chicks, and that was kind of like my life, man. You know, I'm a simple dude. Never been complicated. You know, I don't really extend myself to a lot of people. A lot of people might think I'm standoffish or I'm funny acting, but it's just I just seen a lot, done a lot, and I just I just try to protect my energy. So you know, if I know somebody, good people, and they saying that person is a good person, then you know I'll rock out with them. But for the most part, man, I'm real reserved. So I don't really do a lot, man. I don't, to be honest with you.
Okay. St. Anthony or Cordia?
Oh, St. Anthony. St. Anthony.
Yeah.
St. Anthony. That's it started there.
It started there.
It started there.
Cordia, I know with the culture part, man, I know just, again, I don't want to be negligent in regards to, man, the whole doc and everything else, man. I know you caught an Emmy nod and all that other stuff, even with that too, man. And, you know, with the joint Us Against the World, man, I know just having an opportunity to see that some time ago, you know, I just want to commend you. You mentioned perseverance. You just mentioned that word, just as far as being able to stick it out. I mean, everything that happened, you just still staying there, hanging in there, like with those kids and seeing that whole situation through. And you took nothing and made it something here, and everything else here with the commission trying to fight everything here, like what I mean. So that whole interesting you mentioned that word perseverance, man. Everything you went through with all that down there, man. So my thing is I want to commend you on that. Just in general, you talk about perseverance. You couldn't have said a better word at the right time, man.
Well, I appreciate that. And for those in your audience who haven't maybe seen the documentary, you know, I asked you to go watch it. It's a pretty good documentary, and like you mentioned, it was nominated for an Emmy, a sports Emmy, and it's called Us Against the World. So it's a cool documentary, and a guy by the name of Trent Cooper did it, and we thought it turned out well. And we actually thought we were going to win, but we lost to, I think, Hard Knock Life, Tampa Bay, for the sports Emmy. But it's a cool doc, man, and if your audience gets a chance, I think it's a good watch.
No, absolutely, man. I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. How those kids doing? You still keep in contact with them?
Yeah, I do stay in contact with them.
Okay.
Yeah, some of them are doing well, and some of them are, they persevere.
They still trying to figure it out.
Exactly.
Trust me, man. We've been trying to figure it out, man. I'm late 40s and I'm damn near just figuring it out. So I get it. I totally get it, man. Playing or coaching? What do you prefer?
Coaching.
Really?
Yeah. I like the whole chess game with coaching and the tactical part of it and the whole thinking and making changes and adjustments within the game and trying to figure out somebody's weakness and exploiting their weakness and I like that. I like that part of the game.
Yeah. Speaking of coaching, what does Coach Hurley mean to you?
Oh man, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be the man I am without Coach Hurley. I can say that. Taught me about being a man. Taught me about perseverance. Taught me about his knowledge of the game, his approach to the game, his just a sense of being proud of who I am as a young Black man. You know, growing from the inner city of Jersey City, being from the hood, we were proud to say we went to St. Anthony's. There was like a brotherhood in that. There was like respectfully and humbly, there was some, there was like a very proud, like, cockiness to that, and we wore that with great pride. And because of Mr. Hurley, we all played our part. Obviously, it was the kids that went out there and did it, but it was his vision. Yeah. And because of his vision, we carried out the mission, and we I can say I'm very proud to say I played for Coach Hurley.
Nah, that's real, man. The thousands of games you ever played, man. Like, what's the best game you ever played in your life on any level? You're smiling because something comes to mind.
Well, I don't know if it was my greatest game, but it was my greatest competition. So I like to say it was my greatest game. I guess when we played the Bulls in Chicago Stadium, I think I only had 16 points against like Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman. But it don't get me greater competition than Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman out on the floor. And I stripped Jordan once or twice. And I think one of the times I stripped Jordan, I went down and I dunked it backwards. So, I probably would say that's the highlight of my career in terms of playing in the basketball game.
And sidebar, you talked about being fanned out with, Hakeem, Clyde, and Barkley did. When you saw Jordan, you got
forget about it. Forget about it. Hey, so listen, I'm gonna give you a quick story, right? All right, so boom, like everybody talking I was a rookie, so for everybody, I respected everybody, but for Jordan, I normally would go the city I would go to. I would probably try to find a restaurant, get a bite to eat, maybe have one or two drinks. Do what I mean,
right.
Yeah. So, all right, but when we got to Chicago, I'm like, dude, I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed. I'm ordering room service in the hotel. I'm turning my phone on. I don't want to talk to nobody. We got the Bulls on NBC at 12 o'clock. I don't want to hear from nobody. So we get to the arena. So Charles is talking to me, and Jerry Springer, and I don't even know why Jerry Springer was at the game. I don't know, maybe because it was Barkley against Jordan. But Jerry Springer, me and Charles Barkley were big Jerry Springer fans back in the day. So Charles, somehow Jerry Springer had came into the back of our locker room. So he was talking to Charles, and Charles was like, yo, I got a guy who's a bigger fan than me telling Jerry Springer this. So Jerry Springer comes over, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, I watch all your shows. And me and Charles are telling him about different shows we watch. So Jerry Springer, like, how you feel about playing against Jordan your first first time against Jordan? I'm nervous, but we'll see what happens, right? And I'm real short with him. So Charles goes, "Hey, Rod, whatever you do, don't look him in his eyes." So I'm like, "What?" So, so Charles like, "Yeah, don't look him in his eyes, because if he see you look in his eyes, dude, I'm telling you, he going to think you like challenging him." But he fucking with me, he's fucking with me.
Yeah.
But I'm like a young kid. I'm like, oh man, I'm like, don't look at it. So I get out there. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yo, don't look this dude in his eyes. But in fairness to Jordan, man, he saw like I wasn't out there. Like, I'm sure if I would have came out there with some like, yo, nigga, I'm out here to bust your ass, he would have turned. I mean, he had 45 points in the game. So you know what I'm saying? He turned out.
Yeah.
But he would have got real wild out there. So, but he hit me on the butt. He's like, "Yo, rookie, you gonna be all right, man." He's like, "Keep working." Okay. And that was the words he gave me, man. So yeah.
Nah, that's all right, man. Like, best team you ever been on?
It depends. Like what we talk. Like obviously
at any level, best team you ever been on?
Man, I've been fortunate, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna. All right. Obviously, I just told you I played with in the NBA, but I'm gonna say my high school team.
Okay.
I'm gonna say my high school team. I'm gonna say the St. Anthony's team. The team my freshman year, when we went 32-0. I just remember the memories. I can remember all those games vividly. Yeah, I would say that 80, 89, 80, 88, 89 team. Either 88, 89 or 89, 90 team. I can't. It was either. If I know 89 was in there. I don't know. I think it was 88, 89.
88, 89, yes. 88.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, you think you grew up too fast?
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. No question about it.
Is there a game you would like to have back, whether it was coaching or playing?
Yeah, playing. Yeah, it's a few games. Yeah, I got a few games I like that.
Joints,
game I lost, I like that back. But what game that stands out when we lost my senior year, we lost to Marist High School my senior year. And that
was girl, like John Giraldo and all those guys?
Yeah, look at that. You on your shit, bro.
And God bless Roscoe too, right?
Yeah, that was my guy. Roscoe was my man. Yeah. That was my dude. Yeah, he got caught up in the mix. We lost to Marist High School, man. And the part that hurt me the most, I was dating a girl who played basketball at Marist High School.
Oh, you bagged somebody up over there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my girlfriend all through high school. And, they used to pop shit to her, blah, blah, blah. And she used to wear, my little leather sleeve jacket to school. Yeah, they got us, man. So that one hurts. That one hurts.
Yeah. Now, as far as, remember the Army, right?
Yeah.
Good old Army here. So, hypothetical here, man. You got a game at the Armory. Some folks from New York coming down to play you. Who's on your squad?
Oh, what we talking about, a particular game or?
No, this hypothetical. You at the Armory. You got an all-star squad from New York coming down to play y'all. Who playing with you?
Who do I want on my squad?
Yes.
Oh, that's Jerry Walker, Terry DeHare, Bobby Hurley.
And it could be anybody.
Oh, anybody?
It could be anybody, but I know you leaning with St. Anthony boys, which is all good.
Oh, brother by the name of Dow Wilson, who went to Ferris High School.
Okay.
And David Rivers, who went to
So you must be the sixth man on that team.
I'm definitely the sixth man on that team. I'm definitely the sixth man on that team. Those are all guys I looked up to.
The pushing a humble cake to the side here. You the best to ever come out of St. Anthony?
I don't know. That ain't for me to, you know what I'm saying? That ain't for me to argue.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think I would argue probably David Rivers or Mandy Johnson.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that would be,
Yeah.
that would be my take on it.
Yeah. Somebody who should have made it. However you define made it. Somebody who should have made it.
Oh, Darryl Wilson. That's easy for me. Brother from Ferris High School. He was looked up to the dude.
Mm-hmm.
He was incredible, man. He was I had never seen anything like him. And anybody you can ask this dude, you can ask guys from Elizabeth. He was in that era of with Mike Goodson and what's the left hand brother went to Old Dominion? Light skinned played in the league for a long time. Was he left handed?
Is that Chris Gatlin?
Chris Gatlin.
Okay.
All these brothers, man, like he played in that era. This dude was like, everybody got that ghetto player who, ghetto superstar who, for whatever reason didn't make it out, but he was unbelievably talented. And for me, Darryl Wilson was that dude.
Let me ask you this, imparting the profanity here, man, but did ever come a day or just a time in your life, man, like you say, you've been playing basketball since you were 7, 8 years old, man. Ever came a time you just like, yo, I'm fuck it, I'm done with this basketball.
Yeah, well, when I was playing overseas, when I was in the Philippines, and I was, dude, it's over with. I was like, I knew it. My spirit told me that. Like it's a death. You just know. Like any other great. Anybody who plays sports. Let me rephrase that. Anybody who plays sports, you kind of just you just know it's over. Like I don't know. It just speaks to your spirit. Like you don't. That fight is going. Like any boxer, football player, baseball, basketball. You just it ain't no. It's the you don't have that spirit to kill or to like want to go at somebody. Like it's so like the fight is over. Like you don't have no more fighting. Like you don't have that competitive fighting. It's over with.
Best part about being Rodrick Rhodes?
Humble, man. I'm always been humble. Yeah. And if you know me, you're gonna say good dude. If you don't, if you say anything other than that, you don't know me. And I can say that. Like I can say that undoubtedly. Like if you know me, I'm humble. I respect everybody.
Yeah. Nah, that's real. That's real. I'll be remiss if I didn't ask this. Best part about being a father?
Ah, man, you want your kids, you want your kids to hopefully be little athletes or, surpass anything you ever did in your life. So that's what I'm hoping happens, that my kids surpass any sort of thing I've done and just carry on the name, just, carry on the Rhodes name.
How tough has it been for them? I mean, obviously now they got, the Googles, the YouTubes, and everybody here say, they say, you they dad, obviously conversations come flying here and there. How's it been for them?
Oh, it's cool. Ain't really no bad stuff out there about me. It's little stuff and, whatever they heard, we can correct the record.
Right.
But I always kind of, like I said, I always protected my energy. I never put myself out there in no wild situations. I never wanted to be a part of no wild stuff. So, I always protected my energy and I always watched the people I was around. And so for that part, there was nothing out there that could embarrass the name.
Yeah. Now, this may be coming in the works. I don't know, but maybe I'm putting it in the air by asking you this. A book on your life, what would you call
Mm, humble beginnings.
it? Yeah, yeah.
I stay on that.
Mm-hmm.
People like I meet people in passing, whether it's when I'm playing out, after outside of out after my playing career, and they can't believe how down to earth I am and how cool I am, and and I really don't know how to be any other way.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, there may be misconceptions of me because they don't know me. And if you don't know me and I'm like in the corner or I'm like not saying nothing, you might be like, oh, dude bugged out, or, he think he better than us, or he think
Right.
the reality is I'm really just like a quiet dude who just kind of like stay to myself. And then if I feel there's a connection and there's energy, then I open up. But other than that, I don't be rocking out with a lot of people.
Not too beat for folks. No, I hear you. Trust me, I'm the same way, man. Now, this point in your life, what advice would you give that senior year Rodrick Rhodes? Everything going on here, but everything that you've learned or obviously gathered since then. What advice would you give that senior year Rodrick Rhodes?
Um, don't stop. The work is never done.
Mm.
The work is never done, and I do wish I would have did a better job of making connections with people. I wish I would have. I tell you, I'm like to myself, but I was in a world where I could have made a lot of really, really great connections with a lot of unbelievable people. But because I was who I was and I was raised the way I was raised, I would tell the 17-year-old Rodrick Rhodes or any 17-year-old kid that the work is never done. And, tap in with people, make relationships with people. As Black people, we tend to like not connect with each other and tap each other. And me being older, I realized, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this, is we gotta tap in with each other and connect with each other. And you just never know, just making that relationship with somebody where something may go. So that's the one thing I would tell a 17-year-old kid or tell myself as a 17-year-old.
Mm. And everything athletically that you've been a part of, team-wise, individually, that kid now that's in that same similarly situated, like what would you like tell them right now? Obviously, I know they got a bunch of other stuff to deal with, the social media and everything, which is good and bad. But what would you tell them how to just deal with all this everything that's coming at them?
Get a tight circle.
Yeah.
you know, just get a super tight circle. I watch LeBron, man, excuse me, he's in an era where he grew up in this social media. He's like at the height of it, where all the stuff, this Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. Well, he grew up in this environment, and you can't find a negative story on the kid.
Right.
And maybe he is that squeaky clean, but maybe he ain't. But I like to contribute that to his tight circle.
Mm. Mm.
So.
Nah, makes sense here. My last question here, man.
Yeah.
Your parents,
Yeah.
what would they say about you now?
I hope they're proud of me, I hope I hope they're proud of me. I know my mom will be proud. My mom is where I get my humbleness from.
Yeah.
My dad was also a good dude. I think they'd be proud of me. I think they'd be like, yo, yeah, we did a good job, dude. He's a good dude. He wound up being a good dude.
Yeah. And I know, Rod, I know people always probably, and I've probably said a couple of times, to tugged at you or wanted something from you. This is my only want from you as far as years later. I want you to know, just being a fan of you, man. Like how proud I am I was able to brag as far as like you was down the highway from me, man. Like, as far as just things that you accomplished. I want you to know just how proud and honored I am to sit here and obviously have this conversation, just chop it up with you, what have you here. And I just wanted to say thank you. So those are actually I said one, but there's probably two or three ones there. But I just want you to know all that, and I'm not alone in all of this too. So those who are from around the way, even throughout the United States, probably felt the same way if they're from our era as well too, man. So I just want to just let you know, like I said, how proud I am of you and everything, man. And thank you for allowing me to be a fan of you here and obviously have an opportunity to talk to you, man.
Eben, some things are meant to be. I'm a strong believer in that. Everything happens for a reason. We connected when we was high school kids for a reason, and it was cool, when you shared your story about us, being on the court together. So for me, once that was shared, I believe in everything happens for a reason. So for me, it's an honor to be a part of your show. Man, it was great. I could talk to you all night, good brother. It was easy, and this is something I don't normally do.
I know I got the exclusive, as you said. I'm gonna give you an exclusive.
Yeah, no, seriously, man.
Right.
This is I've had a lot of people wanting to
I'm
talk.
sure. I'm sure.
And yeah, for whatever reason, God told me to talk to you. So yeah, I'm a strong believer in that. So everything happens for a reason, man.
Yeah. And one more. Are you gonna stay involved in basketball in some way moving forward, you or you just
Yeah,
gonna see what
if
happens?
yeah, if the right opportunities present themselves, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's got to feel good. It's got to feel right. I'm a guy who moves on energy.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't spread myself with anybody and everybody, but if the energy's right and it seems right, then yeah, absolutely.
Nah, definitely, man. Rod, appreciate the solid, man, as far as doing this and chopping it up. And let's not make this the last time either, man.
Absolutely. You got the number. Let's stay in contact.
Nah, I appreciate it right now. Thank you, man. Salute.
All right, Evan. Thanks.
No doubt. All right, peace.
Peace.
Partner delay here to pause real quick, just taking it in, man. I appreciate it, Rod. Like I said, just me being a fan of yours and having an opportunity to sit here and talk to you. You don't know how much joy that brings to me and whoever else is listening to this. Cleon, meant to say thanks for this too, man. You my man. We doing this. We having some fun with it. So I wanted to make sure I didn't forget that. With that being said, man, I'm just gonna step to the side. I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.